I was watching a video the other day with Wes Huff, Wesley Huff, and he was on, I don't remember the name of the podcast, but I've included it down below, and I recommend you go take a look at it. It's interesting. It's a pretty popular podcast. I've seen the guy. He even goes on other podcasts with other people. Uh, he doesn't strike me to be, certainly, it's not a Christian broadcast. West Huff is a Christian apologist who's getting around talking to different people. I think he was on Joe Rogan. Um, Wes Huff would be sort of like, listen to him would sort of be like, this would be similar to uh, Billy Graham talking to Johnny Carson or David Letterman in the past, or, you know, it'd be sort of like him going on Jimmy Kimmel, whatever. So it's an interesting, and it's several guys. So you notice the name of this podcast. I think it's an agnostic, a Roman Catholic, a Hindu, and a Christian, Protestant Christian sitting on a couch. That's what it is. It's not a joke. Went into a bar, right? Uh, anyway, so but they're having a conversation and they're asking them all kind of questions, and they're asking them all kind of questions that probably the kind of questions that you would have yourself, or a lot of people would have. Uh, and he does a good job of fielding them and giving good information. I was watching Tim, what's his name? Um, anyway, I was watching another video just today of Tim. What's ah, anyway, two guys. One guy who's not really a conservative, but he's been branded a conservative because he points out the stupidity going on in the world, which doesn't take a conservative to see. But and he had another guy on his podcast. Tim Pool is his name, and he had another guy on his podcast. He was just simply throwing out bull, just saying stuff as if, well, X, Y, Z is true, and there was no proof of anything. And he that was the whole point of the video I was watching. It was just pointing out how this guy was full of it, totally full of it. A lot of people you talk to are full of it in all kind of situations. They don't know anything. They talk about things that they think would be nice to be happy, or that someone else has said might be happy, or might be true. Excuse me. They'd be happy to be true, or what might be true, but that it's not true. So anyway, these guys are asking a guy who has some answers, can really talk to him. So it's a good, friendly conversation. And the Hindu guy sort of gets after him in different ways, tries to go after him, but they're basically, it's a nice conversation by guys who you would probably see on other podcasts, and they wouldn't be talking about religion at all ever. So take a look at it. But I'm just going to raise a few things about this that came out of it for me. To me, this is a discussion that many people who are too ignorant or too guarded to have. Many people haven't had that. You might want to have this discussion. You might be in Sunday school class having, and somebody might bring up these issues, and yet you're too guarded yourself to ask a question or answer a question or whatnot, because you don't want other people to think of you any particular way. So these are some questions that you may have, or if you don't, hey, somebody may have, and you might think, hey, they might be enjoying hearing what these guys have to say. One of the things that was brought up is one of the main guys said something about how he can see where if you feel good about yourself, why do you need this? It seems like Christianity is, if you really feel like crap, then you might be interested in it. Well, there's some truth in this in many ways. One of them is that this is how, when you feel like crap, that's how cults get filled up. Somebody who is friendly and nice, catches the person who feels like crap, who is depressed, who is low, who is alienated, etc. And they capture this person in those moments, and they invite them to be part of their friendly group of people, and they treat them friendly and show them love and respect and bring them into the cult. And sometimes you see people who come out of cults who, after a while, the reality of some cults come out that are really pretty nasty cults. Others can just have, believe in things that in the end the person realizes, no, I don't really believe that, okay? But this is how back in the 70s you had the Moonies and things like that. In any cult, this is a basic cult practice, is to find people who feel bad. So certainly, there are people who go to church. It's a great time for them to go to church. They feel like crap, and they hear the message, and it speaks to them. And fortunately, they're in church. They're not in some other wacky place. Okay. I have a loved one who I remember who I didn't realize this person was really so down or felt so lowly or anything, but they watched Joel Osteen one evening. And Joel had such a positive message, and it made them feel really good, and they were very happy about it, etc. And they felt closer to God because Joel Osteen's message had made them feel good. Well, guess what? Joel Osteen's message is often heretical. It's almost always like a spin-off of biblical faith. It's not very well grounded. He's just, God wants you to be happy. Well, I'm sorry, God is not about making you happy. I mean, I don't think God is looking to make your life a torture. That's not the point of God. But it's not about you feeling good all the time. Okay. So this is addressed. Wes talks to him about this kind of stuff. He doesn't say what I just said. I'm just adding my own 2 cents in there. But Christianity isn't about being happy. It may be something that if we follow it, we will find peace. This is something I personally struggle with. I'm not always peaceful. Why? Because I let myself get worked up into about something that I think I want to be in control of, right? Things aren't going the way I want them to go. And so I'm not peaceful. So, and I'm not turning to God in those moments. I'm just thinking about what Mark wants whenever I'm not peaceful, almost virtually all the time, right? So, but it offers you a way to find peace. And I'm not talking about nirvana. I'm not talking about numbness. I'm not talking about, an emptiness of anything, but a peace knowing where your place is, etc. And then they asked the question, one of the issues that came up, which you have heard and probably asked and maybe haven't heard a good answer to yet in life, and that is, what if you're not raised in the Christian environment? And they said, what if you're raised in New Guinea, in a tribe, in a native tribe, or etc. In the Congo or the South American Amazon? They didn't say that, but I'm just throwing those out. Anyway, where it's not a Christian environment, which frankly, what if you're raised in the United States and not in a Christian environment? It could be pretty easily an easy situation to find yourself in. And Wes Huff refers to Romans 1:20, and I'm going to read up to 1:20 for you here. And this is Paul writing to the Romans. For I am not ashamed of the gospel. It is the power of God for salvation to everyone who has faith, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. And the Greeks are the Hellenized people. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed through faith for faith. As it is written, he who through faith is righteous shall live. He who through faith is righteous shall live. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and wickedness of men, who by their wickedness suppress the truth. So the wrath of God is revealed against those who are suppressing the truth. For what can be known about God? So a lot of people worry about wrath. Well, if you're going for truth, then you don't have a problem for wrath, right? With wrath, right? For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. Ever since the creation of the world, and this is verse 20. Ever since the creation of the world, His invisible nature, namely His eternal power and deity, has been clearly perceived in the things that have been made, so they are without excuse. You're without excuse. We're going to see what this is saying is that you can see God in creation. Now, people talk about, well, if I go and play golf on Sunday morning or go fishing, I'm seeing God in nature, and that's all I need. That's the sermon I need. Well, if you were really focusing on God and getting something out of it, I'm not saying you can't see the glory of God, experience the glory of God in the world that He created around you. But if you're reading your Bible every day of the week, and on Sundays you go to, instead of going to church, you go out and go fishing. Well, maybe that's a moment when you're not just sitting there waiting up on a nibble, but you are, contemplating, meditating on who God is and what God's done in your life and in the world, etc. But anyway, the point that Wes Huff makes is, hey, we can see God through His handiwork. Well, and then he makes the comment, and I appreciate it. Look, there's a lot of stuff that's just not in the Bible. It doesn't tell you. It doesn't say a specific thing. So what about those people? I don't know. Now, I have a bit non-biblical idea about it. And my own non-biblical idea is that, look, our consciousness in this physical world as it is in this particular moment, as you and I are here, I've got a particular consciousness. I don't believe there's a purgatory, but look, a thought happens this quickly. If I have a heart for God, for the truth, then possibly that's all there is to it. That you will know God as soon as you are, as soon as this life is extinguished, you will see truth, and you will see that yes, that's truth. I accept it. Or you will be the same rebellious person you were throughout your whole life, and you will see truth, and you will say, I reject it, and that's that. Now, that's just the concept I have. I'm not trying to make a theological thing here. I'm just saying that, as Wes Huff says, there's things we don't know still. There's things the Bible... Look, it's not important that something like that might be true. That's not important. What's important is, where are you right now? Are you going to embrace truth right now, or are you going to wait? Or are you going to rebel? Anyway, so that's Paul talking, and that's, as Wes says, I don't know. Anyway, they go back and forth about this. It's an interesting conversation. I urge you to take a look at it. And what I've done is I'm putting both a particular segment of the conversation that I think is sort of focused on things in a way that I'm sharing with you. And I'm going to also include the whole podcast, which is about over an hour long. So the shorter one is with, what's the name of that? Well, I don't have it. Anyway, you'll see it. When you open it up, there's another guy there who does a little bit of commentating himself. And so watch that. But if you want to watch the whole longer interview talking about all kind of issues, then, go and look at the longer one. Let's see here. Another one of the issues is, so what is the deal? So Who is God? What's the deal that we're making with God? So there is a God. We know him. So what's the deal? And the thing is, there is no deal. And they talk about this. So in other religions, in other faiths, and too often, people claiming to have a Christian faith, people execute good deeds in order to impress God, to get their God, to get something, right? The Muslim is doing all these good works the Catholic is doing good works to get to heaven. Well, the Protestant doesn't think that. I don't think that's biblical. Uh, we don't do good works. It's faith. And just as we read in Romans, it's about faith. It's not about the works you do. And there's other places where they talk about good works. Well, yes, the fruit of our faith is good works. But good works is not the point of our faith. So there is no deal. God made you. God made you with a purpose. God intends you to reflect His truth while you're living on the earth and then into eternity. So there's no precondition. There's no deal. Anyway, and they talk about it, in ways that probably you would relate to, most people relate to. So go and listen to them talk about it. The video speaks to how God doesn't need our love. God, Wes does a good job of talking about this. God didn't create humanity in order to make God feel good. God created humanity in order to do it. It was just His will, His desire to do so. But we're not created to be. So therefore, if you're not praising God at this moment, then is God sad because you're not doing it? No. God prefers that you do it. There's a lot of things that you could say, well, or I could say, well, I'm happy that so and so is doing something that somehow is respectful of me, right? I'm happy about that. I'm not unhappy about it. If you told me I've been doing that, I wouldn't say, well, I don't give a rip, right? I've been doing something respectful for you, Mark. I don't care. Makes no difference to me. Well, that's not true. I appreciate it. So I guess that would be the thing. Maybe God appreciates our glorification, but He doesn't require it. He doesn't need it, and we don't have to do it in order to make Him happy. Anyway, good conversation about that kind of issue as well. So, as I close this, the thing that came across my mind is that I seek to serve God not because I want to go to heaven. I'm not interested in going to heaven, except for the fact that I expect to go to heaven. Okay? But I'm not interested. It's not like I'm trying to get somewhere. Okay? I'm not trying to live for eternity. I'm satisfied if this is it, and this is what God wants it to be. I'm satisfied with that. But since our scripture tells us He intends us to be with Him for eternity, then I expect to be there. I'm not going to be too happy if I don't get there, right? But I expect to be there. But you can hear some of these guys. The thing is that it requires surrender. It's not about me getting what I want. It's me giving God what He intends. And so that requires surrender. This is the problem that most of us have. This is the guy who was talking about feeling like crap. Why do it? If why be Christian unless I feel like crap and it does something for me, right? And he talked about how he feels good about himself, and you might have heard me in other videos. I've often said I think it's pretty difficult one of my problems with my walk for decades was that, hey, I'm cool with who I am. I don't need God. And I was going to church and still really not with it, you know, really not wanting to accept, not wanting to accept the sacrifice of Christ. Because I was happy. If I'm happy, why are you down for me, man? It's not about me being happy, see. So, but it is about surrendering. And surrendering isn't about going to prison. You know, over history, there have been people who have been slaves throughout history. And all the people who were quote unquote slaves were not oppressed people. They had a position in life. Well, guess what? You don't have to be a slave to have a position in life that's pretty lowly. I think we all know this. So a slave can be totally happy. Is that if they're happy, content with serving where they're at. It's only whenever we don't want to serve where we're at that we have a problem, and that's generally the problem with humanity. Is a lot of humanity isn't very happy where God has us. We want to do our own thing. We want to build that Tower of Babel. We want to glorify ourselves. We want to have power and prestige, and that's a problem. Um, so, but they're grappling with truth on this podcast, and Wes Huff is helping them along. And I invite you to watch the video or videos, and if you are seeking truth, if that's what you really want, the truth, and you want it more than anything else, then I think all you have to do is pray to God, your Creator, and say, God, I want to know the truth, only the truth, nothing but the truth. And I'm pretty sure you'll find it. Have a good day.